An emergency meeting was held in Ottawa last week over the alarming number of deaths by suicide in Nishnawbe Aski Nation territory. NAN represents 49 First Nations in Northern Ontario. For more on the suicide crisis, we're joined now by NAN Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler. Grand Chief Fiddler, great to have you here in studio with us to talk about such a difficult subject. Can you give us a sense of just how big of a crisis this is?
Well, just to show or tell your audience about just how urgent this is. Just last week when we were in Ottawa, last Wednesday, having this very important discussion with senior officials, federal ministers. The next day, we were having a debrief in the meeting room, and when I got a phone call from one of our communities that another young girl had taken her life that morning. So, as we were having these important discussions and doing this important work, that we are losing our youth, our children. And to me, that just spoke to just how serious this is and how urgent this is.
Do you have a sense of what some of the root causes behind this crisis are?
Yeah, I don't think we can point to one or two reasons why we are losing so many of our youth to suicide, but we do know that there's the tragic, the violent colonial history that all of us carry, with the forced removal of our children to residential schools, and also through the child welfare system, and also in the NAN territory, and I know in northern Manitoba as well. We also have the legacy of the church and the pedophile that they employed in the 70s and 80s, named Ralph Rowe, who was also a Boy Scout leader and was also given a plane to travel to many of our communities, and the number of children that he abused in the 20 years that he worked in our territory. So we have all these things that have happened to our children and families, and a lot of that you can point to, what we're seeing now with just the sexual abuse and the violence that we're seeing is rooted in so many of those things that have happened to our people over these many generations.
As you mentioned, there was that emergency meeting last week with First Nations leaders and the federal government. Did you come out of that meeting feeling hopeful?
I think so. I think it was good, first of all, just to bring together senior officials from the federal government, and we did also have some of our leadership there as well, and some of our experts, to have this very important discussion to first of all talk about the need for immediate relief, which is something that our chiefs have been asking for because of the numerous losses that we've suffered over the last few months in the NAN territory. That our communities are tired, that they've depleted the resources that they have to work with to try to support their children and youth and families. That we need to have a surge in supports, immediate surge in supports to support our leadership as they grapple with this epidemic.
Grand Chief, as you mentioned, the need for immediate relief, what do you see as the next steps here?
Yeah, that's what we're working on right now, is what does that immediate relief look like? So we're looking at, for example, human resources, to have trained mental health workers go into our communities to provide relief for the staff that are there that need a break, that need a rest, but also financial relief. A lot of our communities expressed, for example, that they've spent so much of their own money, which they don't necessarily have. They're not funded for crisis supports, but they've had to spend money to support families that are in these crisis situations. For example, one of our communities, one of our smaller communities, over the last year spent around 1.3 million on crisis supports, and they don't have that in their budget. They just have a small core band support funding, and so they need financial relief as well, so that they can effectively deal with crisis events as they happen in their communities.
And Grand Chief Fiddler, again, appreciate you taking some time for us here today to discuss
Thank you for
this.
the invite.